Hey guys, welcome to a very special edition of Intelligent Wrestling Talk. I am Dan Janoff.
And this is Anthony Feliciano, aka Tony V, of Pro Wrestling World. And we're ready to give you the intensity, integrity, and intelligence of all things wrestling. And Dan, I gotta say, if you had any doubt, now's the time to realize that Daniel Bryan is officially the face of WWE.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt now. I mean, I believe that he's been for quite some time since his match at SummerSlam, but wow, tonight was pretty explosive, but we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. We need to start with some Night of Champions.
That's right.
And we would see at the opening of the show, Triple H would come out and state that there would be no interference from anyone. And we would also see Paul Heyman and Curtis Axel come out and object to the match with CM Punk. And because of that, Curtis Axel ended up getting a Intercontinental title match. But we'll get into that in a bit. First, we'll get into the WWE Championship match between Daniel Bryan and Randy Orton. It would be a fantastic match. We would see a ref go down, new one come in, the old one get back in the match, and a fast count that would see Daniel Bryan be the new WWE champion.
Now, I think I know why they did this. This is just to add that suspense and intensity. Because once that ref went down, you know the good old, oh, it's the weak old ref that fell down syndrome trick. And it's the oldest trick in the book, and that's what got everyone on their feet as well. And, but that's not to say this wasn't a great match. Oh, this is a great match, but this just added another layer of intensity.
I agreed with that. And next we had the World Heavyweight Championship match between Rob Van Dam and Alberto Del Rio. The match was a little sloppy at times, but it ended in a DQ, and I gotta say, I really hate to see DQs happen on pay-per-views. It's kind of lazy booking in my opinion. I mean, you could save those for Raw, save those for the SmackDowns, but this is a show people pay their hard-earned money to see. I mean, have Del Rio cheat, something better than a DQ.
Yeah, no, I agree. I feel like this really kind of copped out and made Del Rio look like a bad heel. You know what I mean? I mean, there's a difference between a bad heel and a good heel, and that was just a bad heel set move.
Yeah. Next, we would see Curtis Axel and Paul Heyman take on CM Punk. It was pretty good in the early going, but we would, eventually see CM Punk eliminate Curtis and go after, Paul Heyman. Finally catches up to him back in the ring after he ran around the arena trying to catch him. He would beat him down with a kendo stick, even handcuff him. It kind of sounds like WWE must be listening to the show because, remember, we talked about ways for this feud to continue to go. And on our last episode, we thought of ways for that to happen, and that would be inserting a random guy, that being Ryback. He would spear Punk through a table and put Heyman over him to get the victory. Though, in your opinion, this didn't really seem so random, did it?
Okay, I, you know, in the past episodes I always said that in order to continue this, there has to be a new Paul Heyman guy.
Yeah.
I did not think that it was going to be Ryback because, you know, Ryback has his own thing going on. He could deliver his own promos. The reason for Paul Heyman is this way he could help further push and establish a wrestler who can be the mouthpiece, exception CM Punk, but, you know, hey, that was a little different. So, now that we see this Curtis Axel relationship deteriorating, now with Ryback, it adds another layer of intensity. I mean, let's face it, Ryback is the ultimate heel. He's hated by the IWC, and anyone hated by the IWC is a heel to be looking after.
Yep. And next, we actually saw this before the start of Night of Champions in the pre-show. We saw the number one contenders match for the tag team titles. It would start off with Tons of Funk eliminating 3MB. Then the Real Americans would go on a tear by eliminating Tons of Funk, then eliminating the Usos. But they couldn't quite get to the primetime players as they would be the victors in this match, setting up a tag team title match against the Shield. Great match, but we would see the Shield win. But I don't think this is going to be the last time we see the primetime players in the tag team title picture.
Well, hey, no, I don't doubt it. And, you know, unfortunately, I committed the cardinal sin of all wrestling fans, which was show up late.
Uh-oh.
And, so when I watched this, I was 10 minutes into pay-per-view. So I missed a pre-show. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, if I were you, I would go check that out. It was fairly entertaining to watch, and your guys and the Real Americans, they actually did really well.
All right, well, I got to see it.
All right, and earlier we talked about Curtis Axel being put into an Intercontinental Championship match, and ended up being against Kofi Kingston. It was a good match, but ultimately Curtis Axel would come out on top.
Yeah, I actually thought that Kofi would have won this one because he's shown to be this transitional champion that WWE likes to take advantage of. But hey, I mean, I could see why they gave Axel the victory, establish him on a pay-per-view. But whatever.
Well, I kind of think they wanted to make him look strong going into his match with CM Punk.
Yeah, no, that is true.
All right, and then we would see the United States Championship match between Dean Ambrose and Dolph Ziggler. Of course, what we were expecting, these two guys going into it was a great match, but eventually Dean Ambrose would retain his United States Championship.
Yeah, this was it ended, I thought there was going to be interference by the Shield or something, but, no, this was just a classic one-on-one match, and these are the two biggest salesmen in WWE right now. I always say that, I will still say that, and I will stick by that statement when they become future main eventers. Agreed.
And lastly, we saw a fatal four-way for the Divas Championship, being Natalya versus Brie Bella versus Naomi versus AJ. The match had some moments, but ultimately AJ would be the one who would come out on top.
Well, how about that double sharpshooter?
Yeah, apparently they thought it was the first time that had happened, but of course, us being smart wrestling fans know that it's not the first time that's happened.
No.
All right. Now time to get to some plugs before we get out of here.
Yes.
We have a new top 10 that is up, top 10 UK wrestlers who, was very well done by Shaun and Michelle in our group, did a lot of work into it. Let's see, what else? We now have our very own Twitter. It's not completely up to date. We're still working on the different pictures and stuff to use, but our Twitter handle is IWTofficial. That of course will be in the description below as well. If you would like to follow us, you'll see the show go up on there as soon as it's done uploading. Different thoughts during the week, and I know you have some things planned for that as well.
Oh, for this week?
No, for Twitter in general.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're right. I got distracted. You know what it is? All these Grand Theft Auto 5 pictures are being uploaded, so I'm just sitting there crying because I'm not going to play till Friday. Yeah, alright, so, what the hell was I gonna say? Oh yeah, the Twitter thing. Right, so we're gonna have some trivia and stuff uploaded. And I want to, do what I did for Know Your Wrestler, which was incorporate some of the older wrestlers who were born in the 19th century. A lot of circus performers as well. They were huge in incorporating wrestling into that American underground scene. But yeah, but obviously not make it as boring or anything like that. So, I think there's, lots of things that we can do with this too. Hey, it's all about content anyway. So if you like the content, then that'll be great. If you don't like the content, well, I'm just gonna have to change the content then and give you guys something else, right?
Oh, absolutely. All right. And also stay tuned. We'll still do our weekly wrestling, episode, go a little more in depth with what happened the past couple of nights and, do everything we usually do. And look for that coming out probably Saturday, maybe Sunday, depending on when we can get that uploaded. And that will just about do it for this very special edition of Intelligent Wrestling Talk. And I would just like to remind you all that there's only one way to talk wrestling.
Intelligently.